Oh, boy, this does it. I mean, this really does it.
I never would have believed this of Jack.
Oh, Chrissy, why not? Look, it is about time you realize Jack is no saint. He's got the same desires as any normal male.
What's that supposed to mean?
He's an animal.
Behind the bubbly charm and golden curls of television's most beloved sitcom character lay a brewing storm that would shatter everything. Suzanne Somers, the actress who brought Chrissy Snow to life, was at the center of a Hollywood firestorm that cost her everything. At the peak of her fame, with Three's Company reigning as a ratings titan, she made a decision that would get her branded as greedy, difficult, and ultimately unemployable. Join us as we reveal the stunning salary disparity that started it all, and the unbelievable story of how she was punished for daring to ask for more. The making of a star. Long before she was Chrissy Snow, Suzanne Somers was Suzanne Mahoney, a young woman whose life was a world away from the sun-drenched, carefree hijinks of a Santa Monica apartment. Growing up in San Bruno, California, her childhood was shadowed by the chaos of her father's alcoholism, a disruptive force that made focusing on school nearly impossible. She found an escape in performance, winning the lead in her high school's production of HMS Pinafore and even earning a music scholarship to college. But an unexpected pregnancy at 19 led to a hasty marriage to her son's father, Bruce Somers, and a departure from college. The marriage was short-lived, and soon she found herself a divorced single mother navigating a world that offered few safety nets. This period of her life was defined by a relentless hustle for survival. She took on odd jobs, from making and selling chocolate desserts to restaurants to modeling at an American Medical Association convention while lying in traction. For Somers, the dream of a career in entertainment wasn't born from a desire for fame, but from the urgent, practical need to provide for her son and carve out a life of stability she had never known. This deep-seated drive for security, forged in years of financial and emotional vulnerability, later would be profoundly misunderstood by an industry that preferred its ingenues to be grateful, not ambitious. Her journey into acting began with bit parts, most memorably as the mysterious blonde in the white Thunderbird in George Lucas's 1973 classic American Graffiti. That tiny, non-speaking role turned heads and crucially caught the attention of Johnny Carson, whose invitation to appear on The Tonight Show put her on the national map. It was there that ABC executive Fred Silverman saw her and, in a moment of casting genius, knew he had found his Chrissy Snow. Her initial reaction to landing the role revealed her mindset at the time. She wasn't an established actress with a long resume. She was a survivor who had just been handed the opportunity of a lifetime. The Phenomenon and Unbalanced Trio. When Three's Company premiered in March 1977, it became an overnight sensation. The simple, farcical premise of two single women sharing an apartment with a single man who pretends to be gay to appease their landlord was a ratings goldmine for ABC. For 7 consecutive seasons, the show was a fixture in the Nielsen Top 10, a cultural touchstone that defined late 70s television. The chemistry between the three leads, John Ritter as the clumsy culinary student Jack Tripper, Joyce DeWitt as the pragmatic florist Janet Wood, and Suzanne Somers as the naive secretary Chrissy Snow, was electric. While Ritter was undeniably the master of physical comedy and the show's intended star, it was Somers' Chrissy who became the breakout character. With her signature side ponytail and guileless charm, Chrissy Snow was a pop culture phenomenon. Somers, concerned that a dumb blonde character could be irritating, cleverly infused Chrissy with a childlike innocence and circuitous route to logic that made her lovable rather than foolish. The public adored her, and her face was soon on magazine covers, lunchboxes, and posters. Behind the scenes, however, this unexpected surge in popularity created a tension the producers couldn't handle. They had planned for Ritter to be the sole star, and as Somers herself later noted, they were constantly trying to squelch Chrissy's popularity. But the public had spoken, and by the 4th season, Somers was arguably as crucial to the show's success as Ritter's. The problem was, her paycheck didn't reflect that reality. Not even close. When the show began, she was earning $3,500 a week, a figure that felt like a fortune to her at the time. But by the 4th season, as the show dominated the airwaves, her salary had increased to $30,000 an episode, a significant sum that nonetheless paled in comparison to what her male co-star was earning, with John Ritter commanding $150,000 per episode as Jack Tripper, while both Somers and Joyce DeWitt earned approximately $30,000, a financial imbalance that was staggering and laid bare the industry's deeply ingrained gender bias. John Ritter was earning 5 times more than his female co-stars. And as her contract came up for renewal ahead of the 5th season, Somers, now represented by her husband and manager Alan Hamill, decided it was time to address the inequality. The Standoff. Heading into the 5th season in 1980, Suzanne Somers and Alan Hamill approached ABC with a demand that would ignite a war. They asked for her salary to be increased from $30,000 to $150,000 per episode, plus a percentage of the show's profits. The request was not arbitrary, it was a demand for parity, asking for the same compensation that John Ritter was receiving as the show's male lead. In the context of the era, it was a revolutionary act. In the broader American workforce in 1980, women earned, on average, just over 60 cents for every dollar a man earned. In Hollywood, the gap was even more pronounced, with research showing female stars earned millions less than their male counterparts. The network's response was not just a refusal, it was a declaration of war. They offered a token raise of $5,000, an insulting gesture designed to put her in her place. When she held her ground, the executive's reaction was swift and dismissive. Somers vividly recalled the condescending and sexist pushback she received. Quote, "The show's response was, 'Who do you think you are?' They said, 'John Ritter is the star.'" The network's hardline stance wasn't about just one actress's salary. It was a calculated, preemptive strike against a budding movement. As Alan Hamill later explained, the female-led cast of ABC's other ratings giant, Laverne and Shirley, had just successfully negotiated a massive new contract. Fearing a domino effect where every successful female star would start demanding equal pay, the network decided to make a brutal example out of Somers by publicly crushing their most visible female star for the crime of demanding what her male co-star earned. They were sending a chilling message to every other actress in Hollywood: stay in your lane or your career will be over. The Exile and ultimate vindication. The fallout was immediate and cruel. Though fired, Somers was still contractually obligated to appear in the 5th season, and the producers devised a system of isolation to punish her. She was completely segregated from the rest of the cast. Her scenes were reduced to brief, 1-minute phone calls, filmed alone on a separate, isolated set. She was escorted to and from this small room by a police guard, a move that amplified her status as a pariah. The friendly atmosphere she'd known for 4 years vanished overnight. Crew members who were once her friends would literally cross the street to avoid her. The producers had successfully driven a wedge between the cast, turning her co-stars against her. Ritter and DeWitt did not come to her defense, and a painful silence fell between Somers and DeWitt that would last over 30 years. No one spoke up for her, not her castmates, not women's advocacy groups, not the industry. She was utterly alone. The media narrative painted her as greedy and ungrateful, and Hollywood effectively blacklisted her. Unable to get work in network television, she did something no one expected. She pivoted. She reinvented herself, first by launching a lucrative nightclub act in Las Vegas, where she was named Entertainer of the Year in 1986. But her ultimate vindication came from a simple piece of exercise equipment. In the early 90s, she became the effervescent spokesperson for the Thigh Master. The infomercials were everywhere, and the product became a cultural phenomenon. It became a financial juggernaut, too. Somers, who eventually bought her partners out to gain 100% ownership, sold over 10 million Thigh Masters in the first 2 years alone. The revenue from that single product was estimated to be nearly $300 million. She went on to build a billion-dollar empire of health, beauty, and lifestyle products, authoring 27 books and becoming a home shopping powerhouse. At the time of her death, her personal net worth was estimated at $100 million. The pain of her public shunning was real and lasting, a wound that took decades to heal. Quote, "I was ostracized, so I went away." Now it's time to hear from you. What was the most surprising part of this story? Let us know in the comments section below.